program is financially supported by the fundings from the European Commission.
You are listening to the EbuAccessCast, the official podcast from the European Blind Union about assistive technology for blind and partially sighted people. And here is our host.
Welcome to the 31st EbuAccessCast. My name is Mario Percinic. I'm coming to you from Luxembourg. And this time we have the whole crew with me. As always, here is Tanya Cloud from Luxembourg, as we say ladies first. Hello.
Hello, Mario. Hello, everyone.
Then we have Pavel Masarczyk from, where is he? I see him in Austria. I see him in Austria. Yes.
Hello.
Hello. And we have the most famous Islander.
Nice German.
Yeah, from Iceland, Mr. Hlynur Agnarsson. Hello, sir.
Hello there, happy to be here.
Yes, how are you guys?
Quite good.
Fine.
The weather, fine. Everything reopening. Almost summer. How could you not be happy?
Yeah, summer is slowly coming back. I almost got into the global depression, man. It was bizarre. Winter was never ending here in Luxembourg. It was really cold out until a few days ago. But yeah, now it's much better. So, what's coming in today's podcast? First, we go to the Gadgets Corner. Then after Gadgets Corner, we will talk about Twitter and its usability in its native interface and third-party clients. After that, we will talk about messengers. Yes, I am a messenger. Messengers, yes, how do you use them and which ones are more accessible or less accessible, or what somebody did to make them more accessible? Then we will talk about Clubhouse for Androids, and we will also touch the topic about new thing which is happening right now, and these are the digital COVID green passports. And the last but not least, but yes, it's last, it's the famous interview from Hlynur and Pavel about Navilens. Yes, we finally got in touch with people from Navilens, and we will bring you the whole story with Mr. Javier Pita from Spain, Barcelona, Spain. He will tell us all about the thing related to Navilens. So we hope you will enjoy it. So what's new? Actually, do we have some gadgets before we go into anything further?
No gadget from me, not this time. Sorry.
And I don't have anything new either as far as hardware, but I discovered a tiny, nice app that is very handy to use, especially if you do a lot of accessibility demonstrations. And not only, it's for iOS. It's called Replica, and it lets you stream any audio coming from your iOS device, including VoiceOver, either via any AirPlay-compatible device or via your internet browser, preferably Chrome. I tested it. It is very easy to set up. You just install it, open it, copy the IP address into your computer's browser, and allow the access once you are connected, and then you can hear everything in your computer and see as well. So the picture is also there. But for us, in some cases, the sound is even more important, and that comes through really clearly, sometimes with a bit of a delay, but for presentations like this, it could be quite useful.
Yes, I wanted to ask you for the delay. Is it
I wouldn't compose music with it, but for demonstrating how VoiceOver works or for playing some multimedia that is only available on an iOS device, I think it's fine. So it still serves its purpose.
Okay, that's nice.
Because sometimes I had Bluetooth speakers on my demonstrations, and the delay was too much. It was like 2 seconds. And when you want to have an interactive demo, it's impossible to follow that.
Yeah, it happens, especially if the sighted people can see that you moved something on the screen, but the audio doesn't correspond at once. Yeah, that's...
I hate that.
But this is more noticeable with the older Bluetooth devices. For example, Bluetooth 5, which is now being the standard, doesn't have that lag so much, really. I do have a Bluetooth 5 headset and Bluetooth 5 compatible phone, and I almost don't have any kind of lag, which was previously noticeable when you would use Bluetooth headsets with the phones, but now it's fine.
Also, your Android shouldn't go to sleep, or your speech on Android. So
That's
when
true.
you reactivate, there is no second or two of silence before TalkBack kicks in the middle of a sentence. That used to happen.
That's still kind of happening, but it's not that annoying as it used to be. That's why, for example, if you're using Lazarillo app for the GPS, that's why they have this tiny sound before any announcement comes to be spoken. So then it's more or less it's fine. It's usable. Yeah, good, Pavel. Thanks for this recommendation for the app. I have something that can belong to gadgets, but it's actually a low-tech device, but low-tech that we use every day as a blind people, and that's a cane! Believe it or not.
Hurricane.
Hurricane, yes. Is it that song from Eurovision? Group? No, what was that? No.
Oh, that was Hurricane.
Yeah. No, this is a cane for blind people to walk around. It's a walking cane, yeah. And believe it or not, it's the newest generation from Swarovski canes. I know we have some listeners who are listening to our podcast, and a few years ago, I was very much criticizing the first generation of the Swarovski canes, which I still do. But the last one that I got my hands on really surprised me very positively. So, yes, they completely redesigned their canes, which is great. They are much more stable, meaning that every part of the cane, for example, if you have the cane that's folding, so every part of the cane is no longer conical. Now it looks much more like, for example, the EbuAccessCast cane or the canes from Comte de Renda or something like that. So the parts slide into each other much better and they're much more safer, but at the same time, when you have to dismantle them, they are much better. It's much more stable. On the same side, the whole cane is still aluminum based, but over the outer part of every part of the cane, there is this white foil around the cane, which is showing to the sighted people that it's a white cane. And it's very well done, I have to say. It has those kind of tactile markings on the cane. And the mechanism for the extensions, for example, I have the combination of cane, which is a partly folding cane, and this upper part is telescopic. So I can make it shorter or longer. That part has been redesigned as well. And it looks now much more like let's say, some canes from the other brands. And I really like it. I have it for about a month now. At the beginning, I started using it for just longer walks in the parks when I go. And after very extensive usage now that I use it for a month, I have to say that I'm really surprised by the cane. The price-wise, yeah, it's about 100 euros, or maybe a little bit less. But I really like it. It's not very heavy. It's about 200 grams or maybe a little bit more. And you can use with it the roller tips, which come by default from Swarovski's, or you can also use the hook ones from the EbuAccessCast, such as a long mileage, which you can use for a long time. There are slight modifications which you need to do with that EbuAccessCast tips if you use them. because they don't fit by default, so you have to use some sandpaper and stuff. But it's very doable. After that, it fits very nicely, and you're ready to go. So that's good. I don't know, Pavel, have you seen those newer Swarovski kints, or anybody else?
No, I haven't actually, but they sound pretty good.
Yeah.
They have diamonds on them,
Well, I don't know. Haven't found them yet.
so could be.
Maybe. But I think this is some other Swarovski brand.
This Swarovski is not far from where I am right now. It's just next city, and you can visit the Crystal Factory, which is now a museum as well.
Uh-huh.
Quite an overwhelming experience, even from the sound perspective. The chambers are quite acoustic in different ways, so it's definitely a feast for anybody, regardless of impairments.
Nice. Yeah, so this is the news from the new Swarovski canes. As I said, I really like them. And yeah, I got mine with a wooden handle. They also provide different kind of handles if you're buying them, such as the handle with the neoprene or with the leather. But the wooden ones are also being redesigned, and it fits quite okay in the hand. And you can use it for a few hours, no problem. So that's good.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so time to go after the gadgets to our news section.
Accessibility in the news.
The first thing before messengers, actually, is a social network. And you guessed it right, yes, it's Twitter. And why Twitter? Well, because Twitter can be now used from various points and various machines and various phones, meaning that, for example, if you're using Twitter on the PC, you can use it from the web interface and from the third-party clients or even the official apps if they're accessible. However, there are some differences, and there are also some articles which we will publish in our show notes. Basically, the one that I'm referring to is the one that was published on the Blind Bargains recently that talked about how to use Twitter via its native interface with a bunch of its built-in shortcuts. I have to say I use it when I have to. It's a nice experience. It's nice that Twitter made that thing available. It's not new, I have to say, at the beginning. It's not new. It's something that exists over for some time. But it was the thing that was expanding. So not all of the features and shortcuts were available so far. And it is usable.
They were lacking. They were definitely lacking that in that aspect.
Yeah, they were. And since Twitter is out since, what was that, 2003 or 4? And this native interface became accessible just a few years ago. Before that, there were some sites that were trying to do the gap between those stuff. But now the Twitter can be used, and in order to do that with the screen reader, you have to use a bunch of shortcuts which they provide, and they have to be used with the browse mode. If you use the NVDA or with JAWS, it's also a forms mode, so that you are able to use. There are like shortcuts which has to be pressed multiple. You have to press multiple combinations in order to achieve that. For example, to go home, you have to press G and then H, or to go to settings, G and S and stuff like that. But it's usable. However, sometimes there are situations where you have to switch between this forms mode on and off to scroll through the tweets and stuff. But it's it's kind of okay if you have to use it. But what do you think, guys? The rest of you who have you tried it and have you used it? And I know that Tanya, you are a frequent user of those.
I am. Actually, I'm using the web interface since a few years ago, and I prefer it because in some other third-party apps, you don't have some views that should be there, but they are not for some reason. For example, what I like in the web interface, you can easily see the replies, while, for example, in the other that I'm using to TW it's more difficult, or very often it's not available. Or when you have a retweet, you see every retweet. You don't see the number retweeted 100 times, but you see every time. So you read it each time. I don't know if you can adjust it differently. I didn't go into that. I mean, in TW Blue.
No, there is it's not possible to adjust it.
So for me, that was really disturbing. And for this and some other reasons, I prefer the web. I remember that it was not possible to see multiple accounts before on the web, but now this is possible.
Yeah, and you can even enable the notifications to have the announcements.
You can. I don't use the notifications because I don't want to be disturbed anytime. I use the notifications through my mobile phone, and that is fine. Also, some other functionalities are missing from third-party apps, like pinning a tweet that you can do very easily through the web or through the mobile app. So most of the time I'm using the web or the mobile app. For example, for the direct messages, I think for me the most easy is to use the mobile app, because for some reason in TW Blue, when I have a more intensive conversation, the messages from the other person are just not arriving. I don't know if you have ever experienced that. For those who are using TW Blue?
I don't know. Not really. Not really. There were some. Yes, I noticed sometimes that there are some delays in deliveries.
If you have an intensive conversation, if you're chatting, it's impossible to chat through TW Blue.
Yeah, it used to be better in previous years when Twitter still offered its streaming API for third-party clients. And then they were pretty famous for making a very stable, very feature-rich API that you could just use to build any kind of interface over it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they took it away, and so all the streaming features, which is why we don't have replies and direct messages in real time, and neither do we have tweets in real time. We don't have notifications that somebody liked our tweet or that somebody followed us or anything, any event that happens to us. It's not announced by these clients. They plan to bring it back. But, well, that's actually an interesting take on accessibility in general. Of course, universal accessibility for the win, I do agree, but I still see when I look at GitHub that building custom third-party clients for accessibility for blind community is pretty much a common practice. And I see that a lot of blind people will still choose a custom-made client over even very good accessible website or proprietary client of that social network. And Twitter used to be famous for this. They allowed you to do pretty much anything, almost anything you wanted with the API. Then they stopped doing this. Now they want to sort of bring it back for some smaller projects, even for free. But I haven't heard any updates on this for a while. So
yeah. The only thing I'm personally missing, maybe I didn't find it, but I don't think it's there in the native Twitter interface when you're on the web, is that events tab.
Events or notifications?
Events. For example, that you can see some kind of chronological follow-ups, what's happened, like this person has followed you, this person has liked your tweet, blah, blah, blah.
This should come in notifications, actually. That's what it does on the phone?
Exactly. Normally I see this in notifications on the web, but it's true that on the phone I have events, but this is not notifications. This is something else.
Because I see the difference between notifications and events. Or maybe now they kind of unified it under notifications. It's possible. I don't know. But yeah.
I think events were a bit more common terminology when the API was still around, because they were in fact API events in the IT sense.
It could be.
So some third-party developers choose to name them events for that reason, I guess. But now events would be something like something is happening in the world and Twitter is discussing this. And I think they have this moments feature, which is more or less something like this. But for the notifications like this, hopefully you will get them under notifications on the web.
Okay, so
yes.
that's...
And since we are talking about the web, is G and then N.
for the notifications.
The shortcut, is G and then N. I discovered it actually through your article, even though you can access the list of shortcuts on the top of the screen inside Twitter. It's very easy. But sometimes the shortcuts that I use are J to go to the next tweet, or K to go to the previous tweet, or load more tweets. So just to go through the tweets.
Yeah.
If I need to go inside the menu, normally I go it in the usual way. But okay, if you're a frequent user of Twitter, of course, you can have a look on these shortcuts.
Yeah, in the article. Okay, so these are the Twitter news. The next thing we would like to discuss are the various messengers and improvements. The first one is from one developer I think he's in Portugal or in Brazil. I don't know. He's Portuguese. He's called Juliano Lopez. And a few months ago, he made the set of scripts for the browsers to make the better accessibility of the WhatsApp web interface. I have to say I tried it and it does work, as he says. I'm sad to see that the WhatsApp themselves didn't think about these kind of features, because eventually what these scripts are doing is that they're making some buttons which are unlabeled by default. They're making them labeled, and you have a bunch of shortcuts which you can use, such as Alt-M to go through the message lists, and if you Alt-L, for example, to change the script language, for example, between English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and I don't know if there are some other languages. But yeah, I mean, and in order to have those scripts, you need to have TaperMonkey add-on. There is a TaperMonkey for various browsers, like the Chrome, Firefox, even Edge, and Opera as well, I saw it. And then first you install TaperMonkey, and then you install that script. And just every time you go on the web.whatsapp.com, you need to press Alt-S to turn on this interface. To turn on those scripts. And then the thing is much more accessible. Anybody tried it except me?
I think WhatsApp should recruit this developer, because, how come that the WhatsApp is not accessible and so much used, and on iOS it is, I think, the most accessible messenger that I use. Mm-hmm. So it would be great to have this there by default, like Twitter is accessible now.
I agree.
I mean, practically they have a ready-made code. They just have to implement it. So
exactly,
it could be easier than that.
Yeah.
I didn't try that. However, what I have tried is an NVDA add-on made by a Spanish-speaking developer for WhatsApp for desktop, which is more or less the same experience as WhatsApp web, except you don't need to open any browser and type in the address anymore. You just click the shortcut on your desktop and you're in. Mm-hmm. And there is one caveat with this add-on for now. It works in Spanish and Turkish versions of WhatsApp. The good news is the language files are available. So if you want to, you can just translate along with PoEdit, I believe, and it will work for your language. The only thing you have to bear in mind is that when translating, in some places you will have to obtain the names of the controls from WhatsApp itself. Because, basically the add-on relies on some object names and some node names that are localized for each language separately. Mm-hmm. But once you get it working, and I got to work the older version of that add-on for the Polish WhatsApp for desktop, you have obviously labels for the buttons. You also have shortcuts for some things like start and stop recording, like copy the currently focused message, like load a file to be transferred and then send this file. And it makes using WhatsApp very, very handy. So all the context menus open as they should. You don't have to look for all these items in the window anymore. And maybe not everything is perfect about WhatsApp, either web or desktop, but the good thing they have done, and it works really fine, is that area support they've added. So when you're in the application mode or forms mode in JAWS, you can just use tap and shift tab to move between the different controls. And when you are in a list, like the conversations list or messages list, you can just use the up and down arrows to navigate, and then the right arrow to expand some additional options like reply, forward, and so on. And I think it's a really good practice that many messaging apps are implementing. Twitter was one example of this. Because of Aria, all these nice layouts and shortcuts they use are possible. Same with WhatsApp, same with Messenger, actually. And same with Discord, although in Discord it's currently broken. It doesn't read the messages, but it always says actions for a given message, actions for a given message. And yeah, they say the first rule of using Aria is do not use Aria. And I see why, because it's great power and responsibility in the hands of the person designing the page. But if you know what you're doing, you can actually build an experience that is almost identical to having a native desktop app. And messengers like this are basically showing that it's possible if you have the nerve to do it. And I hope more and more will do it because, well, let's face it, I don't think we will see many natively written apps these days, especially from the bigger companies. It will be more and more web technologies.
Yeah.
And it's good that the developers of these learn how to make this experience comfortable to use for people who use screen readers, because it's a challenge and it's a task, but it's definitely doable, as WhatsApp or Messenger have shown.
Exactly. The thing that I like, for example, what you said also about the WhatsApp is that they started also implementing Aria. So, for instance, you can jump quickly between the message pane and this upper part of the screen where you have the general information about the person you are chatting with, and you can also use the button shortcuts such as B and Shift B for the screen readers in order to go between the buttons for voice calls, video calls, or recording the messages, etc., which is good. However, what I don't like is the fact that not all of the developers are paying the same attention to the accessibility in all the apps, which are really becoming, all these messenger apps are becoming very much part of our reality on the daily basis. For instance, when WhatsApp started messing up their license agreements and stuff like that at the beginning of this year, there was a huge migration of people going from WhatsApp to Telegram, and that's when I switched finally as well to the Telegram. Luckily for me, I'm the Android user, so on the Android side, Telegram is much more accessible than it is on the iOS, unfortunately. And as a matter of fact, I know that people on the iOS side who are depending on the assistive tech, or better to say on the voiceover, are struggling with Telegram, which is a sad thing to see. And to make the things even worse, if you try to reach out to the Telegram developers and you point them to the fact that they would have to fix the things with the accessibility, which is broken on the iOS, and they're saying like, yeah, we know that we have to do that, but you can do that also. We have our own, all the code is available on GitHub. So who wants to fix it, they can fix it. Which is like, yeah, well.
Which is how blindness-specific clients for €5 are born, or like 15.
Yeah, true. And the problem with those clients is that they're being not maintained as they should be, so because they're receiving they're not even quarterly updates. They're like updates which go, 2 times a year. And they don't support the latest API changes which are happening in the Telegram. For example, I know that, as a matter of fact, Telegram went with the huge changes for their APIs for the last 2 or 3 months, introducing the voice chats and a bunch of other features, but those features are not available in those special clients which you have to pay €5 just in order to send a voice message and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm personally thinking that this is something that really should be taken care about from the companies themselves. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't go away from WhatsApp. Because what happened about 2-3 weeks ago was that when WhatsApp did some changes on the iOS, at one point many people started saying that on the iOS side it was very much broken. You couldn't properly see the message replies, and they were also introducing this new feature with the playback controls, and it was kind of messed up at one point. People were really starting to complain, and they wanted to migrate to the other clients, such as Telegram and stuff, but then they realized that it's even worse than WhatsApp. But then, let's say 10 days later or 2 weeks later, what happened? Well, WhatsApp fixed all of the stuff, and right now there are no more problems, which is showing that somebody cares there at WhatsApp. Okay, WhatsApp is part of Facebook now, and Facebook has their accessibility developers who are taking care of that. So I'm assuming this was also part why it was fixed in WhatsApp. But still, I mean, it's fixed, and all of us can still use it without problems, which unfortunately isn't the case with Telegram. I don't know, Pavel, what do you think? Or the rest of you guys, have you tried it, used it?
Well, there are some positives about this, such as they are, of course, unofficial clients, and there is this pretty nice desktop one called Unigram,
Yep.
which I even was in touch with the developer about fixing it, and it works fine. It's not the most convenient experience. It used to be better, for instance, before the emote icon picker was introduced, because now it's pretty much cluttering a bit of the space there, so you have to do a little bit more shift tab work before you find the messages list. But at least it's fully accessible. You can perform all the, or almost all the actions you want. There are just scripts for it, made by Doug Lee. There are some attempts to make NVDA add-ons for it. Nothing is complete yet, but you can find some work on that on GitHub. So this is definitely good. Android keeps improving. iOS also received some kind of voiceover update a couple of months back, but I know that it's far from complete work. And since that update, there has been no major work on accessibility. And the funny thing is that in the release notes in the App Store, it says the voiceover users can now, from now on, enjoy a better experience. And there is still like a bunch of bugs that is not being fixed. So it's a bit ironic.
What is better? Better is a very...
Yeah, I mean, at least something is going on. I think there might be, again, some discussion on GitHub about this whole accessibility business with Telegram. I would have to find the conversation, but the problem with Telegram is that they have a source code on GitHub, but once you make a pull request to make things better, they're very adamant about taking it in and integrating it into their code base. That's what I heard. So it's very difficult, even if you have good ideas and the skills to put them into work, it's very difficult to get across and to make your changes a part of the solution, which is a sad thing if you think about the open source ethics.
That reminds me of a whole story with the Talkback GitHub issue.
Oh, yes. I mean, there are different approaches to how you understand open source. For some people, it's just, we put the code here, have a look, but do nothing to it. To some people, it's let's make something nice together. To some other people, it's just, I don't know, we release something from time to time. It's difficult. It's not as ideal as we would like it to be.
Yeah. Anybody else? No.
I don't use Telegram.
Okay.
But I uninstalled Viber from my phone some time ago because it was so inaccessible.
Yeah.
And then it happened that I did some mistakes in Viber. I sent wrong messages and I couldn't. I did a disaster. And then I said, no, guys, I'm closing Viber. Contact me on any other messenger app.
What about Signal? It was also quite popular. I think even more people came to Signal than to Telegram after the WhatsApp fall down.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
I'm using it mostly on my phone. I have
Me
the
too.
desktop app, but I don't use it so much, honestly. And I use it mostly for groups and for like checking messages. It's fine. It's not perfectly accessible. I think there also since... is it open source? Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
So I think there should do some more efforts, because the Signal desktop app, you have plenty of unlabeled buttons. So, and sometimes it reads you two informations at once, so you're not sure where you're focused. It's a little bit...
I could use it on the desktop. I even made phone calls and video calls with it. But the problem on my end, I don't know where it comes from, is that quite often the installer will crash. So if I leave it for a bit, it's freezing my computer like crazy. Maybe eventually it will get there. And once it gets there and I'm happy using it, they come up with an update which I have to install again, and the circle repeats. And the last time I tried it, it crashed halfway through the installation.
Ooh.
And it removed the version that worked, but it didn't put the newer one that should work. So I'm out of Signal on desktop for the time being because the update crashed.
Did you try to install it again, or you gave up?
Not yet. I gave up because I didn't need it so much for my desktop calls.
Yes.
I still have other things, and I don't need to call from desktop so much unless something happens with my phone, or at least not on Signal. If I really need somebody to look over the camera on desktop or for any kind of private conversation, I will still use Messenger mostly, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, well, now we have a choice. We have a lot of desktop apps for messaging. Actually, I started to use the Messenger desktop app from Facebook. And what I discovered, that you can also share the screen when you call someone.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really nice. Yes.
That's a nice feature.
If you want to show something, it's really, really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, from my side, I have to say that I have the most of my contacts on WhatsApp and Messenger. It's about kind of the same number of people. Then there are people on Telegram, and then there are really a few people on Signal. I'm surprised that maybe I have about 300 contacts on my phone, and from those 300 people, I don't think that I have maybe 15 people on Signal, not even that.
It may be that I'm in the German-speaking area, like Austria, Germany, where there is a really huge focus put on privacy and data protection, and especially since I think Elon Musk sort of bumped up the whole Signal idea that it's very secure and a private messenger. A lot of people there moved over. For instance, we have our work chat group on Signal now to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to be sort of, at least over here, an accepted standard to use Signal because it's the most secure.
Yeah, I'm not on any Signal groups for the moment, but of course that depends from situation to situation, so it's different. But yeah, I mean, I still have it on my phone, and it's sitting there doing nothing most of the time. But yeah, I noticed last time I used it, I don't know if something improved in regards to accessibility, but I noticed that you could not see the names of the people if you were, for example, in the individual chats. It was not showing the names of the people like in the WhatsApp messages.
When you chat one-to-one, I think this is the case, but then not in groups.
When you chat one-to-one, it's not showing the name of the person. Yeah, so this can be the problem when you have multiple messages and then you want to scroll through the messages, you don't know who replied or who said something unless you read from the context.
Certainly offers Tanya the opportunity to send the wrong message to someone.
Yeah. But the issue that I have is we use it also for work, but sometimes we have like an exchange of almost 200 messages per day, which is crazy. And then if you don't have time to check the messages during the day, you open in the evening, and then the focus is on I don't know, last message that you saw. And if you want really to see the most urgent last messages, the scrolling, I don't know, it doesn't give me a way how to go directly. I have to scroll through all the messages. It's a little bit annoying for me. On WhatsApp, you have a button, go to the most recent message, which is very convenient for these groups when you have so much.
That's also available in Telegram. You can click on on go to the
Yes.
bottom or something like that.
Yes. I don't know if there is any shortcut that I didn't discover because I use the standard scrolling gesture for VoiceOver, and I'm going, from one page to another. And if you have so many messages, you have to scroll a lot of time.
Yeah. I have to say, regarding all of these discussions about messaging, that WhatsApp just recently introduced also playback button on the Android side, and I'm so huge fan of that, man. If you're in the groups which deals with a lot of audio messages, this can become your best friend.
At last, yeah, couldn't come sooner enough.
Yeah, because on Telegram, this was a feature that I started using from the first moment I came there. Like, oh, there's a 2x playback speed button. Yes! Now I can save some time. But yeah, on WhatsApp, it came out just recently. What I realized, and Pavel, you were right when we had the private discussion, WhatsApp is turning that feature by the server side, from the server side. Because eventually you would get the update and then you wouldn't see this playback button right away. But it would appear after some hours or even some days. For me, it took 2 days to appear on my phone. But once it appeared, yes, it's here and it's being used all the time. I like it. This was our Messenger discussion, and we can just make a short announcement also that Clubhouse is now finally available for Android in all the world. So anybody who is wishing to go to the whole Clubhouse mess, because it is a bit confusing and people need some time to understand how it's being used. And at the same time, Clubhouse is constantly improving and changing how they think they should be used and stuff like that. But at the same time, there are really interesting topics and discussions which you can find. Pavel, I know you updated as well. I'm also there.
Oh, yes. It could show you full names when it's showing you who is in the room, so that you know who exactly of your friends are there.
Yeah, true.
But,
yeah.
well, that's my only minor gripe. Otherwise, it's very good.
Oh, for me, I don't have problems with that. That's okay. I know at least who is there.
Yeah, if you have multiple friends with the same first name, that could be a bit confusing.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's I like it. I really like the audio quality of the client, as it is only audio network based. So they spend some time on very good audio implementation, which is good. And yes, I think now by the features, it's almost the same as the iOS client. It's not fully 100%, but they are bringing up the updates on the weekly basis now. I just got the newest today morning.
I think they did, however, take their time to get over to Android.
Yeah, it took them some time, a few months, to get into the Android, but I think now they got lots of users from all the countries that are, much more using Android than the iOS.
Do you still need the invitation?
Yes, you still need the invitation, because the whole thing about the Clubhouse is that the network itself is still in the beta stage. So that's why you still need the invitation.
But it's easy to get one these days, because more and more people have it. So
yeah, it's no problem. I even have a few left. So if somebody needs
anyone from listeners who wants an invitation, contact Mario.
Yeah, and then I will get more invitations. So yes.
Then we'll know who is listening.
the more you send, the more you get. So yes. What I really like about the whole story about the Clubhouse is that there is one client that came out relatively recently for the Clubhouse for Windows. It's like the unofficial Clubhouse client developed by two geeks. It's called Club Deck. And Club Deck, it's not only made for blind people at all, but the thing is that those developers got a very good response from the community, from blind people. And in very short time, in a very few weeks, they started experimenting with the screen reader and how do they work and stuff like that, and they came out with almost 100% accessible Windows version of their product. Personally, when I used it a few days ago last time, I haven't found any control that was not accessible, which is great. And that's showing how somebody who is looking forward to see what's this whole story about accessibility can sit down and learn how to code and how to implement it. It's also showing that it's not any kind of magic. You can learn it and implement it into any of your apps. And I really like it. It's the client has even much more features than the native Clubhouse app. And Pavel, have you tried it, or anybody else?
No, I haven't. You can send me an invite though.
I will. Yes,
I haven't yet. I was a bit wary of trying this because I know it's an unofficial app, and I know they're not very, like, Clubhouse people are not very happy about unofficial apps. And also, you can be logged in only with one device at a time. So if I chose to be on the computer, I would have to sacrifice my Android device or my iPod. And I'm quite happy using this on my phone at the moment, so I didn't want to do it for that reason also. But I heard it's really great, and it has some unique features. Even in the audio sphere, you can go apparently even in stereo, although I haven't heard yet how it works. But you can do some real magic with audio there.
Yeah. So who wants to play around and try it, just Google for the club deck and you will find it. It's very easy to find it. But yes, Pavel, speaking of the usage of the app, it's very easy to go back into the Android phone. You just basically get logged out from the Clubhouse and on the phone. So you just need to get your SMS verification again in order to go back on your phone. And then when you go back, everything is as you left it, so it's fine.
Okay, cool. Maybe I'll give it a go. Yeah, also, simply before we stop this, I think Twitter is also coming out and have the Twitter Spaces now, so the space for this is getting a bit tighter, both on web and on Android and iOS, so it will be a bit more distributed across platforms. That's one thing I wanted to say. And the second one, there is another, when we speak of audio apps, interesting project that is being developed in Poland, and that's the Elten social network that maybe some of our younger listeners will know about already. It's a social network for the blind with all the options like forums, blogs, messages, a lot of these typical social networking features, but the module that is being actively worked on right now is conferencing. And it's really interesting because you have 3D rooms in which you can move around, you can get further away from people or closer to people, and you hear this all in 3D space audio. And you can even, I think it's a premium feature sadly, but you can place your own objects in these rooms, so you can put some sound effects, some fireside crackling or birds singing, or even some actual sound file that you have on your computer or some live stream. And it's quite advanced as well. You have stereo sound, you have all the high quality options. And the latest one they're working on right now is VST effects for each participant of the call. So even if they sound bad and you would like to record, recording is also possible. A podcast, for example, you can try, and if you know what you're doing, to improve their audio with the VST effects. Or you can put some other effects if you want them to sound funny or anything different than what they already are. So there is that, and it's also something you can check out.
But how do you move in the 3D space?
You take steps with your arrow keys, and the more you move to the right, the more you hear the person to the left, and the more you go to the front, the more you hear the person to the back of your position. And you can even locate people across the room, so you see the list of everyone, and you can just choose, okay, I want to jump next to that person, and you're teleported across the whole map.
Okay.
And you can also whisper to people. So you just hold down the spacebar on them, and then only this person can hear what you're saying.
Okay, because is that through the web browser?
For now, it's a client you have to install just for Windows, unfortunately. And it's also, if you remember Klango back from like 10 years ago, it's self-voiced. However, with the voice of your own synthesizer, but it's not based on native controls of Windows, so that may be a bit off-putting for some people. But it's still in the client. They are now working on the browser version, I was told, but apparently it's not so easy to put all the features in the browser.
Because I was using some months ago also a platform similar to this, but visual, that was completely inaccessible. So I was not able to move through the room. But also, if it is visual, you don't know, if you don't hear the other person, you don't know who is in the room. Maybe there are two other persons in some other corners of the room, but if you're not alerted who is there, you don't know where they are and that you can come closer to them. I mean, in this inaccessible web-based app.
Yeah, I tried some of these solutions too, and there was one that we were supposed to use for some training, which had stairs and different floors of the building and walls in them. And I couldn't figure out why I cannot reach the other person, and it turned out that she was across the room, one floor below. I had to take the steps, and I had no idea. There were also doors I had to open, and none of that was announced with sound effects. So this kind of experiences, although they seem like an ideal thing for blind people, they can be easily messed up as far as accessibility is concerned.
That's definitely something I'm looking forward to see if this web version of this network comes out, and I hope that it will be not only in Polish.
It's already in other languages. There are communities translating it, so you can even download the client if you want to and register in English and be free to explore it.
Okay. And what's the recording quality of it?
It's good. It goes up to, I think, 44K HZ. So they are definitely targeting audio geeks with that too, because the developer who is doing it, he's in touch with people who know a lot about audio, and he is keen to experiment with whatever they suggest to him, as long as it's not too much tedious coding work. So a lot of really interesting ideas come up in this project.
And does it record multi-track, or it's
I think it does. I think it does, and I think it also lets you stream 2 sound cards at a time. So if you have a mixer and you have 2 channels, no problem.
Something nice to experiment in the future. Nice. Maybe we even move our podcast platform. You never know. I think we are finished now with our messengers and all the stuff related to the messengers. And we can go to the almost last topic for today, but not the last. It's not less important. And these are the digital COVID green passes, which are almost becoming reality, or in some countries they are real since the beginning of June, when all of the story about digital version of those passes started to be announced a few months ago. There were different information floating around. And as it looks right now, this is a kind of a PDF file in the digital form with the QR codes authorized by each country. And so when you get that certificate, you are able to travel through the whole European Union with it, and it should be accessible. That's what we've been told as well. Some organizations such as EDF were strong advocates of that, which was nice to see. And however, I still don't have it, as I have to finish my vaccination procedure. Yeah, I got my first one. And yes, after that, it will be available also in Luxembourg. I know that for right now, the countries that implemented it are using their national systems for the people to get those green certificates. Is that the case in your countries as well, guys, or how is it?
Yeah, definitely in Poland, from what I am told, because my vaccination is issued in Austria, so I can't access it like this, but you can use our national app for managing anything related to the governmental situation, your contact with governmental institutions and so on, and you can access it there. You can also get it separately, as far as I know, as a PDF and QR code. So yes, that's how it's. And also I'm told in Austria you can access your digital version in the form of a QR code through the local system here for health insurance matters.
Yes, but what is interesting is it is not only issued when you are vaccinated, it is also issued if you have a negative test on COVID or if you're recovered so that you can travel freely or to enter cultural events where this green certificate will be required. So it's not only for those who are vaccinated.
Yeah. In German, it's called the 3G rule because each of the words that mean tested, vaccinated, or recovered start with a G. Geimpft, getestet, genesen. So it's a bit easier to remember it in your head. I think it's everywhere like that.
Yeah, I heard that the only difference between the certificate for the people who are vaccinated and people who unfortunately got COVID is the availability of the pass. I think that people who got through the virus, they can get the pass valid for 6 months, and people who got vaccinated can get the certificate which is valid for a year. That's what I heard.
Yeah. But this is an interesting discussion because, sometimes it seems that sometimes people who got the vaccine do not develop antibodies, and some others who recovered have antibodies for some time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, we will see what the future brings, but we hope that this summer we will be able to finally move around with these COVID passes. If you have any comments about that, please send us an email or send us a tweet and tell us how did you obtain your COVID pass and whether is it accessible. I suppose that when I get it, I will put it on my phone, and then I don't know, I can put it on my home screen, or it can be done as a notification. Pavel, you found something for that.
Yes, there are, by combining two apps on Android, a quick shortcut maker and notification shortcuts, you can cause a button in your notification area to appear with a shortcut to any file on your phone. So if it's a PDF, you just choose in the notification shortcuts that you want to create a shortcut with the help of quick shortcut maker.
Mm-hmm.
And then you choose shortcut to a file, and then you point to your PDF file with your pass, and it appears as a button in your notifications, so it's all the time there as long as you don't take it down. So for all your travels or entering an event, before you start, you can just put this in your notification bar, and once you're done traveling or back home, you can remove it again. And it's very fast to do, and it's quite convenient, I must say.
I have to say that I'm pretty much sure that this could be accessible by default on the Samsung phones, because Samsungs are coming with much more features built into their own interfaces. So maybe I don't even need to have those apps. I'll have to experiment.
Yeah, I can add a bit about how it is here in Iceland. We've had the digital vaccination certificate since late January.
Ooh, you're advanced, man.
Yes, we are. And which would mean for you to log into Iceland.is. And I can see now, I'm checking it out. I mean, I haven't gotten the COVID, I haven't gotten the vaccination, I've gotten nothing. So I can see that there are 3 certificates here. You can get a certificate for if you're being quarantined, probably to showcase to your employer or something like that. If you have gotten the COVID virus, then you can get a certificate for that, and also if you have been vaccinated. But I have done none of the above. So if I press the button to collect my certificate, it just tells me that there's no certificate to collect. Mm-hmm. We've had here a vaccination lottery in the past few days.
Oh, vaccination lottery! What's that?
Yeah, it's been showing live on TV every day. So what we did here is that they started with the oldest people for vaccinations, healthcare employees, and just people at risk maybe with, like if you're working that kind of a job, or if you have an underlying disease or an illness like cancer patients and such. And after they had finished those groups, they started just navigating downwards in age until I think they have vaccinated like all people like born in 1972, then 73, then 74, then 75, and then they were advised to do this more randomly. So instead of doing it like completely randomly, they said, okay, so now we will just make some tickets, pink ones and blue ones, and we will just drag who will get vaccinated today. So so they just pick a card and they say like, yeah, okay, man born in 1982, you will get a text message to come and be vaccinated today. People were calling for like more predictability on that one, because many if there were some extra doses left, then anyone could get a text message like at 4:00. So like you need to be down in the like major sports center for vaccination in 10 minutes. So people were complaining a bit about that. So they just finished out all the rest that they have not vaccinated yet. And yesterday they were doing like this big lottery, just dragging everyone out. So everyone down to 18 years old should have gotten their first vaccination shot in the next 3 weeks. I think I am 2 weeks from now.
Okay. Man, what a crazy time. Vaccination lottery. Before on the lottery, you would win a car, I don't know, lots of money and stuff. Now you're winning a vaccine.
Well, when you said that, Linor, I actually thought, because what we sadly had to do in Poland, what apparently also was the case in the US, is that so many people didn't want to get vaccinated that in order to encourage people, so to give them a carrot, not a stick, they came up with actual lotteries where whenever you sign up to be vaccinated, you're entered for a draw for actual prizes.
Yeah, they don't need that here. We are very
good for you.
Vaccinated here. But I wouldn't mind. I saw one dude in the US like win $1 million in a vaccination site lottery. So I wouldn't mind.
Send a postcard to the Joe Biden. Maybe he will think about it. Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah. What we still have left for you is the Netherlands interview. The interview from Pavel and Linor. Thanks, guys, for doing this. You made a great job, I have to say.
That's also good doing this. Pleasant to talk to Javier and find out about this amazing technology.
Yeah, though it seems simple, it seems very effective, I have to say.
Yeah, and it's probably not that simple.
What do you mean?
Either. I mean, the code itself is simple, but it took them 5 years to design it and make it work the way it was supposed to.
Well, yeah, sure. I agree.
It's quite user-friendly, but definitely much more sophisticated than people might think.
Yeah. However, a good point is that really you can use any kind of... you can use a normal printer to print those codes and put them wherever you want, which is nice. Or you can print them also on some plastics, aluminum, whatever you want. If you want to have them forever on some buildings or some areas which are affected by the weather. So that's good.
EbuAccessCast interview.
Hello guys, me and Pavel are sitting here with Javier Pita, founder and CEO of Navilence. Good morning to you, Javier.
Good morning, Hello. Good morning, Pavel.
Hello.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah, definitely. Hi,
Thank
Javier.
you. Thank you so much.
So, for those who don't know what Navilence is, maybe let's start with an open question. What is Navilence?
Okay, very good question. Navilence is like a new kind of QR code, but instead of the QR code can be read very far away without need to focus or enframe it. That is very important. NaviLens was developed in order to search for a solution, in order to help the visually impaired users to move indoors in unknown spaces. So we saw, why don't create something, add to the space, and help the visually impaired users to receiving information through their camera, reading the NaviLens code. And we spent 5 years to research and develop a new kind of QR code that could be read by a blind user without knowing exactly where the QR code is, because you know that the QR code, you need to know where the QR code is in order to read it, okay? So because the QR code was designed 27 years ago. The QR code was invented in the 90s in Japan, and we spent 5 years to create a new kind of QR code, that is the NaviLens code, that can be read very far away, very big, and very easily. Indeed, NaviLens code of 20 centimeters can be read at 12 meters far away, 12 meters away without need to enframe it. And there is a lot of use cases where this technology is being implemented.
Okay, so maybe a question from me. There are many solutions for indoor navigation, and the world sort of cannot agree which is the best approach. Quite often we see Bluetooth beacons being the golden standard everyone wants to achieve, whether they are detected by your phone and the phone guides you, or they are detected by your phone as well, but they themselves let you know where they are by beeping or telling you, here I am, I'm the beacon for entrance door or something. Why QR codes, especially when you think blind people using cameras, aiming with the cameras at a certain point, why QR codes and not, I don't know, for example, Bluetooth beacons or some other technology that doesn't rely on you being able to use a camera?
Okay, so a good question. The point with the location, the problem always is the location, the accuracy and the accuracy of the location, okay? So the problem with the Bluetooth beacons and the problem with the GPS as well outdoors, okay, there is a problem, is that GPS and beacons are not accurate enough to deliver a very accurate indication for the user, okay? For example, the beacons, you have an area, okay? You can know that you are in an area, but you cannot see the direction to the element, the exact direction and the exact distance to the element. So the NaviLens code is solving this problem, because the NaviLens code, we can know exactly the direction, okay, the distance to the element, and this allows to an incredible new technology for deliver incredible instruction for the blind users, okay? So the idea behind NaviLens is make things simpler and more efficient for the places. Because, for example, we started applying NaviLens at the transport system, and for example, the bus stops. If one city, like for example, Barcelona, has 2,600 bus stops, okay, it's very important to locate a solution that will work, okay, very efficiently, and at the same time it could be implemented very efficiently by the transit operator, okay? So our approach is, we using the NaviLens code, we add the NaviLens code on the elements, like the bus stop, the main entrance to the metro station, to different elements. And thanks to the capability to detect the code very far away, we can guide the user to that element or through that space, okay? I don't know if you are familiar with a new feature that we have launched 2 weeks ago for iOS users that is called NaviLens 360 Vision. The incredible thing about that is that the user only need to see the code once. And when the code is seen one time, the NaviLens app guide the user exactly to the position to the code, independently if the user are still seeing the code or not. It's quite impressive. I can make you a demonstration if you want to hear how the system is working.
Yeah, and how does that work? How does it remember where the code is located?
Yes, very good question. We have spent 3 years, the last 3 years, to combine the algorithm that we use to detect the NaviLens code very far away. Remember, depending on the size, we can detect the code farther, okay? For example, in Barcelona, at bus stops, we are using codes of 20 centimeters. So that code can be detected up at 25 meters away. That is impressive. So the way is, we have combined that algorithm with the new tracking system, the AR kit, okay, at Apple, and very soon with Android and AR Core. And we combine these two words in order to positionate the position of the code immediately. So doing that, we can know exactly where the Naviance code is, and combining with the tracking information, we can inform to the user where exactly is the code. This is quite impressive. The only thing that the user needs is using the Naviance app, okay? So having the Naviance app, okay, when the user is at the vicinity of the bus stop, okay, remember that EPS is not accurate enough. There is the last few meters wayfinding problem. When the user is detecting the code, we launch automatically the new mode that is 360 vision. This new mode will inform to the user with a 3D sound with drums and a bell. The drums are 3D positioned sound in order to inform the user where exactly is the code. And the bell is that the user is pointing to the code, okay? If I move in the position, we'll inform always that the distance, okay, to the element. And additionally, we are offering haptic feedback for the users when using the mobile phone that obviously I cannot show here today, but you can try for yourself, download the Naviance app, okay? So with this functionality, okay, I'm going to open Naviance, okay? I'm going to point to a code, okay? And please hear.
Activating 360 vision. Lock code. Bus stop.
Okay, and this is this moment that the code is located, okay?
4 meters to your left.
Okay.
5 meters ahead. To your left.
And in all moments, I can know exactly where the code is. And when I reach 1 meter to the code,
information has been updated. Barcelona bus stop. Gran Via Plaza España. Upcoming arrivals. Line H12 Besos Fernita 4 minutes. Line 91 Manso 5 minutes.
okay.
Line 109.
And this is the real-time information. You must try it. You must try it because it's super impressive.
Also, one neat thing about this that I learned was the information that it is reading. It's inserted not in English, is it? It's inserted in Spanish.
Yes, yes.
But because you have your phone in English, it auto translates over to English.
Yes, very, very good point. Okay, yes. The Naviance code in this case is in Spanish, but the Naviance Cloud Platform translates automatically to 33 languages. And the user is being informed in their own language. And this is a very nice feature.
I find this especially good as a blind tourist in other countries because until now, I had the feeling that in order to make use of all the accessibility features that a certain country offers, I have to speak the language of the country. So imagine I come to Spain, I want to take my cash out at an ATM. I probably need to speak Spanish because the only language that will be supported will be Spanish. And this is a huge barrier, even if the accessibility is there. As a blind tourist who wants to travel independently, it's very difficult to make use of all the goodies that are available for everyone there because we don't speak the language. And here you've solved this problem like this. One question, how are you feeding this information in real time? I suppose the QR code contains some kind of URL, right, that points to the Barcelona Transit System data file. And this is automatically updated in the background, or how is this made so smart?
Thank you so much. Two things. The translation, okay, are super important, okay, but not only for the blind users, okay, for everybody. Because when you are traveling to another country and you are seeing a signage in another language, it's a barrier for you, okay? So the good thing is that the Naviance code translates automatically the information and serves for the blind users and for everybody. That because we believe in an inclusive technology, okay? That is helping the visual impaired, but it's helping everybody, okay? And regarding how, yes, this is super important. And regarding the real-time information, the Naviance technology is a combination between the Naviance code, that is the code that can be implemented everywhere, okay, plus a cloud system. And we combine the information the static information about the element. Imagine, this is the bus stop number 12, okay, at this location. And we combine with real-time web service of the customer. And in order that we inject that information in the same message, combining the static information plus the dynamic information in a very convenient way for the user. And the incredible thing is that we can combine any kind of information. In this use case, we are telling the users the part of the next bus vehicles, but we can deliver any kind of real-time information. Like, for example, in a metro station, the status of the elevators, or the disruption of the service, of any diversion, okay, on the transit system, okay? And this becomes super powerful because we combine static plus dynamic content in the same code.
That's
this is amazing.
Great. Is it more difficult for me as a blind user, for example, to find the code using the camera than it would be, for instance, for Hlynur, who still has residual vision, because he can, for instance, zoom in the picture? I saw there are plenty of tools in the app for people who still can see something about zooming and not only zooming. Is there any kind of advantage if you have some vision left to the instance where you're blind completely, or is there no difference in the experience?
This code has been created for achieving the goal to be able to scan a code for a blind user, okay, without rest of vision, okay? So we designed this code precisely to be able to scan the code without know where the code exactly is, okay? So you don't need to make a zoom, okay, in order to detect the code, okay? Obviously, there is an option in the application in order to activate the zoom, but it's not used very much because the technology works as well as is working, because without zoom, and a 20 centimeters code can be detected 12 meters far away. And if you have the last mobile phone, maybe 15 meters far away. Indeed, I think that Hlynur in the headquarters in Iceland, they have implemented very quite bigger code, right? Hlynur, that is possible to read very far away. So the point is, so it's, yes, so if the way is, you don't need to focus in order to scan the code, okay? In order to achieve, because at the moment that the code is being captured with the camera at any place, you can read the code. And this is something that you must try in order to feel how the technology works, okay? Because all the people are normally having the experience of scanning a QR code that is very difficult, and could think that this can be a challenge, and this is not. Hlynur, could you tell us about the experience with the small code that you have in your main door, in your building?
Yeah, we created a code. We had it printed on just a aluminum sign, and we put it on the front of the building. The code itself is around 75 centimeters across, and without the zoom, it could be detected from my phone, which is a Samsung Galaxy A70. So it's not the best camera. It could detect it from like 35 meters away without the zoom. When using the zoom function, I could detect the code from 80 meters away, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
This
is less than a meter. You can see, and you could
blind people, right? With completely blind people, and they could also detect it from that far.
Yeah, just the phone. Because the phone is using the whole like 160 degrees of your camera vision field, so it doesn't matter if the code is on the left side of the visual aspect of the camera or centered. It uses the whole field of the camera, so it doesn't need to be centered like the regular QR code. So this was kind of amazing. I took a walk in the amazing weather here in winter Iceland and tried this out, and I could not believe the result I was getting.
And this works so well with both iOS and Android devices, right? Or is there a difference in that? I mean, I guess it depends. If you have a cheaper Android phone, chances probably are the results will not be that good.
It's working in both platforms. For us, it's very important as well, okay? Because we are designing an inclusive signage for everybody, and it's very important to have technology in all kind of devices. And yes, you are right. Depending on the quality of the camera, you will be able to read the code farther or closer, okay? But the performance is very well in general, and the incredible thing about this technology is that it's going better and better. With the technology, this is something that usually does not happen. When new mobile phone will be launched, more methods will be able to read the code. Okay, so it's a curious thing. Okay, so yes,
it's advancing, but you guys don't have to do it. Like
yes.
Apple and Samsung are doing that for you.
Yes, of course. Okay, in that case, we always are working very actively in the technology. Indeed, we are working in this project from 2012, and we spent 5 years to create the Naviance code. And after these 5 years, we are we are a team of 15 people, and we are every day working in order to improve the Naviance app. Okay, always adding a new feature, a new functionality, like for example the 360 vision that is amazing. Okay, so yes, and another details. We are benefit from the better cameras that the market is launching. The point is, this technology is going better and better with the time.
Which is a good argument for blind people who are wondering, why do I need a super phone with this awesome camera if I don't take any photos, or I take hardly any photos in my life? I don't need it for OCR probably, because OCR goes already quite well with average camera of your average smartphone these days. But for this, the better camera you have, the further the code can be detected from. That's quite cool.
Yes, but this is a good point, okay? And obviously, okay, so if you have a better camera, you have better results, okay? But the point is, it's not necessary to have the last iPhone, the last Android, the last mobile phone, because indeed, with iPhones and Androids from 5 or 6 or even 7 years old, okay, the technology works very, very well, okay? And because we are not working at the maximum resolution of the camera, or not working with some, but the thing is, we designed this technology starting at the 2012, okay? And it's working very well in all kind of devices. Obviously, if you have a better camera, you will have more distance, okay? So, but it's not necessary to have the last model in order to enjoy about Naviance. And this capability allows a new kind of solutions, because we are talking about the transit system, okay? The bus stop and metros. We have implementation at Barcelona, Madrid, and more in Spain, in several cities, in the USA, in New York, that we are very proud. European technology in America, okay? And helping the visually impaired people in United States, okay? And other countries in the world. So our objective at the beginning was to improve or make more accessible transit, because transit is key for the mobility of the users, okay? But the capability that the code has is opening a new use cases. And for example, the project that it was launched in the United Kingdom with Kellogg's and the RNAB, okay, was to add the Naviance code at the Kellogg's Cocoa Pops, a cereal food package, okay? And the thing is, this is a very efficient way to make accessible the information that is in the package easily, because using a Naviance code not very big, okay, you can access to the information that is in the package in the accessible way in 33 languages as well. Okay, so the technical capabilities of this new kind of code is allowing new use cases in order to make items more accessible. That is very important as well.
This is great. I have one question. I always had a weak spot for companies that are socially responsible. Of course, you have your those who want to implement Naviance, they probably have to pay some kind of a license fee, but you also have free packages, right?
Of course. And indeed, for us, one key thing is this technology is always free for the users, always, and will be always free for the users, okay? So the users, we are implementing the technology in several scenarios, in transit system around the world, right now with Kellogg's in the Kellogg's Cocoa Pops and other use cases, okay? But any user can download free Naviance code, okay, into their app. So they can, the users can download the Naviance domestic operational codes for free, and they can, the users can use that code in order to tag anything in their home, in their houses, okay, in order to, for example, we have several use cases. Some users are using the Naviance code in order to make at the food boxes, at the food like Tupperwares and something like that, in order to know what exactly is inside the Tupperware, in order to tag things in folders, to tag, for example, bonsais, that is small trees, Japanese trees, okay, in order to distinguish one and make some annotations in order to see the status of the needs that this small tree needs, something like that, okay? And we recently, 6 months ago, we launched Naviance Friends and Family. Friends and Family is the ability to share the information that you store in that personal codes with others. Because we are always very, very focusing on the user. For us, it's the most important. And we received one petition of several members that live together. They were students living in Netherlands, and they asked, okay, it will be great if I can share the information that I'm writing in the Naviance code with my colleagues, my flatmates, okay? And we launched the Friends and Family, where any user can share their own annotation with other users in order to that they can access to the same information that it is in the Naviance code, okay? So there is an endless number of possibilities of using the Naviance code for different scenarios. And indeed, with the recent launch of the Naviance 360 Vision, we have launched new packages. And right now, the users can download more than 500 personal Naviance codes. So this is a very cool feature for free, of course, for the users.
Mm-hmm. So great. And how about like schools and institutions, workplaces, etc.?
For us, the support of educational buildings, okay, and for students is a key priority. So we launched a bunch of Naviance codes with pre-recorded information with typical venues inside a school or association. For example, inside a school, okay, you have several common places. Could be female toilet, male toilet, principal office, okay, auditorium, something like that, okay? So we decided to launch a free kit with the difference with the personal codes. The personal codes are empty, okay? The user need to record any information, but with the school kit that can be downloaded at free.naviance.com, any school at the world can download the Naviance code with pre-recorded information, a batch of codes with these typical places inside the school. And it's as easy as print and in a piece of paper, a standard piece of paper, and put in the elements in order to allow to scan these codes in a school. For example, with the COVID situation, we launched the sanitizer codes. Okay, we update with more codes in order to help the schools in order to locate where the sanitizer were. Okay, so yes, the school kits is a very good batch of free codes in order to improve the accessibility of the schools, and any school of the world can download it at naviance.com.
So for the schools, it's no coding, no programming, no excuses.
Yes, simple and quick. You're right.
Okay, this sounds great. This sounds very great. Pavel, do you have any further questions for Javier?
I think it would be good if you shared with our listeners who, as the EBU as itself, come from many different countries. Could you name a couple of examples of where in Europe can the blind users already enjoy your technology on the spot?
Yes, of course. Bueno, pues starting that we are here today hosting this program with Hildur. Okay, so we are very proud that Hildur can come more about its experience. Hildur, could you comment the experience that you have in your own building?
Yes, of course. We have been trying this out here. Also, myself is learning like what information would I need to gather on a single code. And there's also like a nice option that I can put in a short text, which might say just meeting room. And I can also put like a longer version where I can place like meeting room. The light switch is to the left. On the right, you have a meeting table with 10 chairs, 5 on each side. Like I can go into details describing the room. And that had me also thinking, and people here have been quite excited and happy about this add-on that we have placed here. So I definitely recommend it for other associations and companies to implement. But I was also thinking like, okay, when we can start traveling again, which might be soon, let's say you're going to a conference. like an EBU conference in Austria or somewhere, and the hotel that you will be staying at will have Naviance codes installed. It might be in general, or it might be just for the special conference. You could like put in details what the hotel looks like. You could insert that to the Naviance codes, and you could share that with those who are going to be attending the conference, so they could in advance, in their own home, in their own time, like prepare and learn about what the hotel looks like, kind of get a visual description of the hotel from the Naviance codes. Am I right?
Of course. Very, very easy, indeed.
I thought more about if you could share with us in which cities specifically have you already installed the technology, for instance, at a train station or other object, so that the listeners from these cities can already know and check out your product.
Okay, perfect. Well, as we are in Spain, okay, we started working in Spain. Indeed, we work first with the ONCE, that is the National Association for the Blind here in Spain, okay, as you know, okay, and we have so many places here in Spain, like in Barcelona, all the subway station, all the bus stops, in Alicante, Murcia, in Madrid, the Atocha station. In Atocha station, there is a very good project with the tactile paving that could be interesting to talk more in another program, okay? In Spain, a lot of museums with the technology, that is a very useful use case as well, okay, with the technology. Outside of Spain, we have the UK, for example, working with the RNEB in order to implement in several places, okay? We are indeed in progress to implement in several transit organizations in the UK. Very soon we will be available, okay? In France, we have implemented the technology in Versailles train station, okay, Versailles, that's very, very close to Paris. We are implementing the technology in other countries like Germany, that will be very soon announced, okay? And in other countries, and I'm thinking in real time, in the United States, well, the United States is outside of Europe, okay? And more and more venues are implementing the technology by themselves. So with the school kids, a lot of school kids, okay, something. I think that the best in order to try the technology for the users is, meanwhile we are implementing Naviance in so many places, that try the personal Naviance code, okay? And in order to see all the advantage of the technology and to apply for the domestic use, is my recommendation, okay? And of course, if you come to Spain, you will find a very inclusive cities with the Naviance technology.
Sounds great.
Indeed. Well, congratulations on your successful implementations, and here is to hoping that more will come in the near future.
I hope so, because we have a dream, and indeed our mission and vision is to make a more inclusive world, okay, with the priority for the visually impaired, okay, and for everybody, okay, and we are putting all our energy, all our passion, all our work in order to achieve that, and we think that in this way, that is a code that can be easily added to any signage is not excuse right now to make any space more accessible and more inclusive. And this is our dream, and this is the goal that we are looking for and we're working for.
Great, good luck.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us here on the EbuAccessCast, Javier.
Thank you so much, it's my pleasure.
Demo time. Let's play with our gadgets.
In this demo, I will show the new feature in Naviance 360 Vision. This new feature lets you hear the location of the QR code in the space with the 3D sound, so it works best with headphones, and for safety, the best is used to bone conduction headphones. Of course, you can listen through the phone. The sound reproduction will be better with headphones. I will enter in Navilens application.
Close Navi. Activate. Default. Navi Lens. Point at a tag with the camera to read it. Main menu and download. Filter tags. Zoom disabled. But 360 vision. Beta. Button.
And from the home screen, I can easily find the new 360 vision feature. I will open it
Back. Activating 360 vision.
Okay, and it's immediately ready to scan. I will just tap through the screen to let you hear what are the options.
360 vision. Beta. Heading. Help. Button.
We have a help for more information.
Scan around you for NaviLens codes. Scan around you for NaviLens codes.
And scan around you. So let us see. I have a QR code. As soon as it finds it, it will remember the position of the code. So even if you move the camera away from the QR code, the drums, the sound of the drums will indicate whether the QR code is on your left or right, while the bell will tell you where is the QR code if you're pointing it with the camera in front of you. Let's see how it works.
Scan around you for NaviLens code. 2 meters away. Bus stop.
Oh, 3 meters away. The bell indicates that it's in front of me, but let's see if I move the phone on the right.
2 meters to your left.
The sound goes on the left ear because I'm moving away on the other side. Turning round, round, round. Oh,
2 meters behind.
so it's really behind me. There is even a sound for that.
2 meters to your right. On your 5.
Now the sound is on the right ear because the QR code is on my right. I'm turning around.
2 meters ahead.
It's in front of me. I'm approaching the
In
QR
front.
code.
Alert. The information. Bus stop 2317. NaviLens. Bus stop number 12.
Okay, let's see what are the information provided.
Back. Button. Bus stop number 12. Upcoming arrivals. Line D20 Ernest Lutch 6 minutes. Thank you for using NaviLens, the new digital signage for everybody. Close selection. Button. Personal annotation. Button.
We can also add personal annotation if we need.
Delete tag. Button.
Delete this tag
Reload tag. Button.
or reload it.
Reload tag. Delete. Personal annotation. Close selection. Button.
If we close the tag,
NaviLens. Bus stop number 12. Up. Bus stop number. Main menu and download tags for personal use.
it will
Button.
be saved on the home screen of NaviLens. I hope you enjoyed the demo, and if you have the opportunity to use NaviLens QR codes, try it yourself.
Okay, so thanks for listening to us. As always, we are reachable on email and on Twitter. If you have any feedbacks, comments, even if you want to criticize us, yes, you can. We will survive. So yeah, you can contact us, and we are looking to be back with you in the next 6 weeks. Take care, all of you, and stay safe. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to EbuAccessCast. If you want to contact us, you can send us an email to EbuAccessCast@euroblind.org or find us on Twitter @EbuAccessCast.